Mushroom research advances constantly, and the great discoveries may be around the corner. Unfortunately, life in a mushroom farm is always busy, and it's hard to stay up to date. Specialized scientific journals don't help due to technical language and frequent paywalls. Our mission is to bring the latest discoveries on mushroom science to the industry professionals and the mushroom people. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the new episode of the Mycelium Digest.
Welcome, everyone, to the Mycelium Digest. This is episode 6.
Great to be here.
Our mission, as always, is pretty straightforward. We want to bring the mushroom science from the labs right onto your farms.
Yeah, equipping you with the research that can actually make a difference.
And today, we're continuing our featured paper series. We pick one important scientific paper and really unpack it for practical takeaways.
That's right. And the one we've chosen today is, I think, incredibly relevant. It's titled Dynamics of Water Status During Fruiting Body Development of Agaricus bisporus and its Relationship to Mushroom Quality.
Sounds technical, but crucial.
It is. Published just this year, 2025, by Juan and colleagues. So really fresh insights for growers like you.
And when you think about mushrooms, water is just fundamental, isn't it? They're, over 90% water?
Easily, yeah, over 90%. So understanding water, how it behaves, it's not a minor detail. It's central to your whole operation.
Directly impacts the bottom line, I imagine.
Precisely. This isn't just theory. Getting a grip on how water works inside the mushroom as it grows, that's the path to getting mushrooms with better firmness, higher density.
Which means higher piece weight, right?
Exactly, higher piece weight, which all adds up to a higher yield of top quality mushrooms, the kind that customers want and frankly pay more for.
Look, you sold me. So our job today is to break down this science into something easy to digest, something you can actually use on your farm.
Consider it a shortcut to really mastering your watering strategy.
Perfect. Before we dive in, just a quick reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and give the video a like.
And if you're listening on a podcast app, subscribing and maybe leaving a rating, that really helps us out, helps us keep bringing the science to you.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into the core findings of this paper. Now, usually when we talk water and mushrooms, it's often post-harvest, right? Like drying or shelf life.
Yeah, that's been a big focus. But this paper, it takes a different approach, a much deeper one, actually.
Is there how?
It looks at how water moves and where it sits inside the mushroom cells while they're growing. It's fundamental because, the big picture water transport relies entirely on how water and even air are distributed at that microscopic cellular level.
Yeah, okay, so how did they even see that?
They used a technique called low-field nuclear magnetic resonance, or LFNMR relaxometry.
Okay, LFNMR sounds complex.
It is sophisticated.
Yeah.
And think of it simply as a special scanner. It's not invasive, so it doesn't harm the mushroom.
Right.
And it measures different types of water molecules and how freely they can move around. It gives us a kind of picture, a map, of water way down at the subcellular level.
Yeah.
Inside the living tissue.
Fascinating. So the scanner revealed different kinds of water inside. You mentioned it's like rooms in a house.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
They identified 3 distinct components, or pools, of water. First, there's bound water.
Bound water.
Yeah, think of it as the stickiest water. It's held really tightly, mostly in the cell wall, the mushroom's outer skin, essentially. Like water soaked into a sponge. It gives structure.
Okay, structural water. Got it. What's next?
Then you have immobilized water. This is a bit more mobile, not quite as stuck. It's found mainly in the cytoplasm.
The cytoplasm, that's like the cell's factory floor, right?
Exactly, where all the metabolic action happens. This water is tied up with proteins, other big molecules needed for growth.
Makes sense. And the third type?
That's free water. As the name suggests, it's the most mobile. It hangs out in the vacuole, which is like the cell's storage tank.
So that's the water that can move around more easily?
Precisely. It influences things like turgor pressure, keeping the cells plump. And here's a key finding. As the mushroom develops, the mobility or the freedom of all 3 types of water tends to increase.
All 3 get looser, so to speak.
Yeah, the water inside becomes generally more fluid. And that shift directly affects how firm or dense your mushroom feels as it matures.
That's a really clear picture. So we have these different roles. Did the study look at the amount of each type? Does that change during growth too?
Yes, and the patterns were different for each type, which is really insightful. The amount of that bound water, the structural stuff in the cell wall, it only showed slight changes.
So pretty stable.
Right. Its role seems more about just being there for structure, not big volume changes. But the amount of immobilized water, the stuff in the cytoplasm, that showed a clear significant increase.
Ah, the factory floor water. Why is that important?
Well, more water in the cytoplasm supports all that metabolic activity.
Yeah.
It fuels the mushroom's rapid growth, helps build new compounds. It's essential for development speed.
Okay, that tracks. What about the free water, the storage tank water?
That also consistently increased. So the total water content goes up overall, which fits with what growers observe. Bigger, more mature mushrooms are generally wetter.
And why does that total water increase?
The paper suggests it could be linked to compounds like mannitol building up inside the mushroom. Mannitol attracts water through osmosis.
Osmosis, right. Water moving across membranes.
Exactly. So mannitol pulls water in, cells expand, and the mushroom gets bigger and wetter.
That makes total sense for the whole mushroom. But, mushrooms aren't uniform. They have a stalk and a cap, the pilus. Did they look at differences there? Because that feels really practical for a grower.
They absolutely did. And this is where it gets even more interesting for managing your crop. They analyzed the water in the stalk and the cap separately.
Okay, what did they find?
Well, looking at water mobility first, how free the water is. Initially, in the early growth stages 1 to 3, the water in the stalk was actually more mobile than in the cap.
Huh, okay. Stalk water moves more freely at first.
But then, somewhere around stages 2 to 3, maybe 3 to 4, that's when the cap is hitting about 2 to 4 centimeters across. It flips.
It flips. How so?
The water in the cap becomes more mobile than the water in the stalk.
Wow. Any idea why?
They suggest it might be due to changes in cell structures or maybe the molecules surrounding the water in each part as they mature. It shows the cap and stalk develop different water dynamics, different needs over time.
Okay, that's mobility. What about the actual amount of each water type? Were the stalk and cap different there too?
Oh yes, distinct differences in content. For bound water, the structural water, the stalk consistently had more of it than the cap throughout growth.
Makes sense. The stalk needs to be strong.
Right. And for immobilized water, the metabolic water, the stalk also generally had more, and crucially, it increased much faster in the stalk during the later growth stages.
So maybe more intense structural building or transport activity in the stalk later on?
Could be. But free water, the storage water, showed a different trend. Very early on, stalk and cap had similar amounts.
Okay.
But as the mushroom grew, the free water in the cap increased really rapidly, much faster than in the stalk, where it increased more slowly.
So the cap is really filling up with that mobile water.
Exactly. It suggests the expanding cap, with all its metabolic activity for spore development and growth, just needs a lot more of that readily available free water to support everything.
That's a massive insight. It really does sound like the mushroom is managing its water internally, sending it where it's needed most.
It does seem that way.
Which brings us to something growers can manage. Relative humidity, RH. That's a huge focus in grow rooms. What did the study find about RH's impact on this internal water picture?
This is absolutely critical for cultivation, and the findings really refine how we should think about RH. The study confirmed RH significantly impacts the water inside. Generally, higher RH meant more mobile water, higher T2 values in both the stalk and the cap.
Okay, higher humidity, freer water. That seems intuitive.
Yes, but here's the twist. A really important difference showed up between the cap and stalk. In the cap, higher RH led to more free water and a higher total water content.
Right, feeds the cap's needs.
Makes sense. But in the stalk, surprisingly, higher RH actually meant lower free water and lower total water content.
Wait, hang on. Higher humidity outside means less free water inside the stalk. That feels backwards. Most growers would think high RH just pumps water into everything.
It does seem counterintuitive at first glance, doesn't it? But it's a fascinating finding. The researchers suggest a reason.
Okay, what's the theory?
The cap is the metabolic powerhouse, right? It needs lots of free water for regulating osmosis, expansion, all that. The stalk, though, has more structural components, like fibers and carbohydrates. It might be less efficient at storing certain metabolic products.
So it doesn't need as much free water for those specific jobs?
Potentially. And maybe when external humidity is high and water isn't limiting, the mushroom preferentially sends or reallocates that free water to the cap, where it's arguably needed more for development.
Like an internal plumbing decision.
Sort of, which leads to this idea of water reallocation based on RH. They found that at low RH, say 70%, the cap kind of uses its own local free water first. This internal movement of water between tissues, like from the vacuole, starts much later in the growth cycle.
Okay, under stress, it waits to move water around.
Seems like it. At moderate RH, maybe 80%, this reallocation starts earlier. Things flow a bit more readily. And at high RH, 90% or so, the free water in the stalk and cap starts out fairly equal, but then the cap's free water shoots up rapidly. This suggests that enough humidity allows for, let's say, the normal, efficient redistribution of vacuole water between tissues. The cap gets what it needs when it needs it.
So RH isn't just about surface moisture, it's like a switch.
A key switch, as the paper puts it. A key switch for managing this internal water movement and ultimately cellular health and function.
Okay, this is amazing detail, but here's the million-dollar question for growers listening. How does all this complex internal water stuff connect to what they actually sell? Firmness, quality, that's the bottom line, right?
Absolutely it is. And the study directly addresses this. Texture is obviously a critical quality measure for mushrooms, and it's hugely influenced by moisture.
So what did they measure?
They looked at hardness, cohesiveness, springiness, and chewiness. Standard texture profile analysis.
So the results?
They found that hardness, springiness, and chewiness generally went up as the mushroom developed. But crucially, they also increased with higher relative humidity.
So higher RH leads to firmer mushrooms, texturally speaking.
It strongly suggests that. Higher RH seems to support better cell wall development and higher turgor pressure, that internal water pressure, keeping cells firm. This leads to mushrooms that feel firmer, springier, chewier.
And were there differences between cap and stalk texture?
Yes. The cap's hardness, springiness, and chewiness were generally higher than the stalks, except maybe right at the very beginning.
This explains so much about why some mushrooms just feel better, more solid, even from the same crop. It's happening at the cellular water level.
Exactly. It gives us a mechanism beyond just looking at the surface.
What about cohesiveness? Did that follow the same pattern?
Cohesiveness, how well the mushroom holds together internally, didn't change much with growth stage, but it did increase with higher RH. And interestingly, the stalk was consistently more cohesive than the cap.
Okay. And did they connect these texture measures back to the water types?
Yes, and this is really powerful. They found highly significant correlations.
Yeah.
The mobility of the water, those T2 values from the NMR, directly correlated with hardness, springiness, and chewiness.
So how freely the water moves relates directly to how firm the mushroom feels.
Precisely. And cohesiveness was strongly linked to the amount of that tightly bound water.
Wow. It's genuinely mind-blowing. So that LFNMR tool, it's not just a lab curiosity. It could actually be used.
Potentially, yes, as a powerful, non-destructive way to monitor mushroom quality development by looking at these water dynamics. It's the kind of science that could really be a game changer for growers aiming for consistent, high quality.
Incredible.
Yeah, the implications are pretty big. So, just to sum up the key insights for your farm.
Please do.
First, water in a mushroom isn't just one thing. It's in these three forms: bound, immobilized, free, and they all change dynamically during growth, impacting quality.
Okay, 3 types, all dynamic.
Second, the stalk and cap handle water differently. Their needs change over time. Understanding that helps you think about targeted watering or environmental control. They aren't uniform.
Right, treat them differently.
And third, relative humidity. It's more than just surface wetness. It's a crucial environmental factor, that key switch that controls how water moves inside the cells, directly affecting firmness and texture.
Which brings us right back to our mission here, mastering the art of watering. Understanding this science means you can move past just, schedules and guesswork.
Exactly. You can start fine-tuning your strategies based on growth stage, based on the specific quality attributes like texture they're aiming for.
And this kind of optimized watering based on science.
It can genuinely lead to producing those mushrooms we talked about. Higher firmness, higher density, higher piece weight, which means a better yield of the high-quality product your buyers really want.
That is truly transformative potential. Okay, as we wrap up, here's something to chew on, a provocative thought for everyone listening.
Let's hear.
Considering this profound impact of RH on how water moves inside the mushroom, how could growers refine their environmental controls even further? Not just managing surface conditions, but really optimizing for the fundamental cellular integrity and quality of their Agaricus bisporus.
That's a deep question, thinking beyond the surface.
Something to ponder. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Mycelium Digest. We are truly passionate about bridging that gap, bringing mushroom science from the labs to your farms.
We hope this conversation on water dynamics has sparked some useful ideas for your own cultivation.
We really do. And if you found this valuable, please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe and like the video.
Or if you're listening via podcast, a subscription and a rating or review would be fantastic. It genuinely helps us reach more growers.
It really does. Until next time, keep exploring the amazing world of mushroom science.
Happy growing, everyone.